Welcome to Hello Port Hueneme. I'm your host Tom Dunn, and I'm with Laura Hernandez. Welcome again, Laura.
Thank you.
Nice to see you.
Good to see you.
And we're going to discuss the January 17th, 2017 City Council meeting. It was very interesting, and there's four major topics that we're going to look into today. And the first one is the Cannabis Ad Hoc Committee. They did have a meeting earlier in the day, plus it was discussed at City Council. And Laura, as you know, the city, as our other cities, are looking into how can they implement a program, and right now it's for medical marijuana.
Correct.
And I know that we both saw what was going on. What are your views on what you saw at the council meeting so far?
Well, from my understanding, the city is currently looking at the possible establishment of dispensaries within the city, and there's been a draft ordinance out there for some time based on a template that's been made available to local governments throughout the state of California. Last night, or the night of the council meeting, it was decided that we move forward, the city move forward with the ordinance. There'll be a couple of readings of that ordinance, a first reading and a second reading before it's actually adopted.
And these will be public invited to
I believe so. I think the council process is a very open process, and there should be plenty of opportunity for the public to come and weigh in on the contents of that particular ordinance.
And we'll certainly let people know when that is available. And they also discussed many different items about how you actually set up the transaction and the dispensing of the marijuana and the payment form of it.
What we learned, or many people know, is that marijuana still on the federal level is not recognized as a it's still recognized as a narcotic. It's a level 1 substance, and therefore you cannot use banks. It still operates on a cash only basis. So apparently this document outlines the process of how you get around that.
You know, in Washington and Colorado and even some cities in California that have already started this, there are certain banks that are set up, but it has to be legally okayed by each city that starts doing it. And I think, down the road they want to get all this worked out and nailed down before they go too far into it.
Right.
But they are moving forward and making progress on it, and we will keep you updated on what the date will be for the pre-meetings that you can come to at the City Council and give your input, and before the final ordinance is done.
All right, lots of work still yet to be done.
Also, the next major issue was the water rate and water conservation. Can you update us on that?
Well, from what I gleaned from the meeting, that Governor Brown had signed a resolution encouraging local governments to adopt a water conservation campaign that extends beyond our drought. We here in Southern California are still under drought conditions. Northern California has fared much better with the recent rain, but even with the hope that we get through this drought and we get out of it, I think Governor Brown is hoping to continue to encourage residents to practice water conservation measures. And so for the city, it'll be interesting to see how we go about educating residents and encouraging them to still maintain water conservation measures even when there is no drought in place. So it's another public education campaign I think that the city will be looking at.
As we have drought years down the road, again, hopefully the conservation will not make it so severe. The city has a couple levels, 1, 2, and 3, of how the citizens should use their water. Right now we're at level 2, and level 2 says that between November and April, you can only water once a week. Between April and November, you can water twice a week. Plus, there are other guidelines and restrictions. I think it's about 10 of them. And if you go to the city website and look at the water department, it'll list those out. Also, one of the big things is the water rate that we pay. We've said this before in other shows that Port Hueneme has the highest water rates in Ventura County, and there is a program that has been started, and there is a new water board that has had a meeting, I think it was this week, and they are going to discuss all the rate issues, the conservation, and again, they will have a couple meetings that the public will be invited to. Citizen input is truly needed, and again, we'll keep you informed as when these meetings will occur, and people can, one, learn a lot about how and why it works, learn about that the Port Hueneme water plant is in Oxnard. The rate on that is going to go up substantially, which could increase the water costs. So it's a pretty complex issue, just other than just the amount of water that we have, and saving it is really important. With all the rain we've had, Ventura County got the least amount in Southern California. Yeah, the mountains and the upland area got some snow and some water, but down here we rely on the aquifers, and we've had very little rain that actually soaks into the ground yet. So,
Not enough. Yes.
Not enough. And to get back that really great water that we had,
Right.
where it was 240 parts per million, now it's up to 675, 700. So and it's something that this new water board will be working on. I think one of the biggest things that we got response on, not only at this city council meeting, but a couple others, is the beach bathroom conditions. Would you like to weigh in on that?
Well, I've heard at several meetings complaints from our residents about the condition of the public restrooms at the pier, and the city, I think, is finally taking a look at that and looking at some ways to increase maintenance and paying for that maintenance, and they came up with several options at the city council meeting for discussion. I think Carmen Nichols presented a report on
What they had
what they had done.
What they had looked into.
Yeah, very good report. Some of the options included closing the public restrooms between 10 and 7:30 in the evening. I think there was a consideration to look at the parking fees and whether or not those could be increased to help cover maintenance costs. I don't recall some of the other options. Do you recall that?
One was actually closing the pier.
Closing the pier. But of course there's concern about the people who use the pier overnight during popular fishing seasons. There's fishermen on the pier who use both the pier and the restroom facilities. So I think that option really needs to be, all the options need to be looked at carefully, and we need to involve the people who use those facilities to weigh in, invite them to weigh in and offer their ideas on what we can do to increase maintenance and take better care of our facilities.
It's really important because the citizens use the beach, not only Port Hueneme citizens, but people out in the valley, and the need of public input is really great in this, because those are the ones that use it.
Right.
And I would like to hope that we get a citizens advisory board put together that for not only the beach and the restrooms, but the parks and the youth programs, where when the city needs information, we can get it for them. When the citizens have ideas, we can funnel it to the council. And getting citizens' input, especially on the beach, is going to be greatly needed.
I think the more ideas you have, the better. I mean, we, as a city council, I think our city council can come up with some possible options. Staff can look at options, and us as residents can look at possible options. But we need the people who use those facilities to weigh in. And maybe they have some good ideas on how we can better maintain these facilities. Perhaps they can serve as our watchdog, so to speak, and make sure that people are not abusing the equipment, that they're cleaning up after themselves. Because closing the facilities, there's a downside to that too. I mean, providing restroom facilities is a basic need that people need to have in place when they use our public facilities, visit our beaches, visit at the pier. They have to have restroom facilities open and available to them. So I'm hoping that we can come up with some great solutions that we can offer our city council and staff, and that's only going to come with public input.
The friendly city by the sea needs to be the friendly beach for all of its citizens. And by providing a communication channel to the city's staff and council, I think will be a great asset. The last thing that we wanted to cover is the dredging that's going on, and I'm sure that most of you that have taken a walk down the beach, you used to walk down the promenade, that is all blocked off now, and at night you can see the lights on down there. There's some cranes, and I guess the dredging equipment is down there, and it's moving along quite well. We had a report at the city council meeting. They were 10 days ahead of schedule. This was originally supposed to be finished, I think, in mid-December. It got pushed back because of delivery problems to mid-February, but they are ahead of schedule. They are shutting down starting last night for 5 days because of inclement weather, and high waves are supposed to be coming along. But they figure if everything goes well from then on, they should be done 5 days ahead of time. So sometime, hopefully in the first 2 weeks of February, the beach will be restored, it'll be safe, and we'll have beautiful waves and a beautiful beach that we all enjoy so much.
I think that's the dredging project is a good example of a project going well. It's done all the right things. The managers of that project have done a lot to inform the public, keep the public informed and up to date on how it's going, and I think that's has served in helping the project move along the way it has.
And there was some pressure, as you might want to call it, by the city on the Army Corps of Engineers to, hey, let's make sure we keep the schedule and
Right.
do what we said you were going to do, and it's working out.
Right.
And one of the things that we were talking about is communication. At the end of the show, when you look at it, at the bottom there's room for comments and suggestions. Please write in there what you'd like to know about or any suggestions you have, and we will respond to them. So thank you very much for viewing this City Council in Review, and we will see you again in 2 weeks.